In my previous video I talked about strumming and how we can simplify the strumming in the context of when we learn new songs, so that we're not trying to focus on playing our chords and a lot of complicated strumming all at once. I'll put a link to that video in the description. But one thing I'd mention in that one is that I do some more exercises or lessons, whatever you want to call them, just dedicated onto strumming. So that's what I'm going to do here. Just to keep it simple, what I've decided the best way probably to deliver this is, because strumming can be as basic or as complicated as anything else on the guitar, is I'll do a series on this. So this is the first video in the series, so I'm going to keep it really as simple and basic as possible, so that you can access this right from day one, and hopefully I'll build it up from there, and we can put some more complicated strumming ideas together later. So to begin with, what I'm going to do in this video, to keep it really simple, is everything's going to be on a 4 count. So we're used to counting 1, 2, 3, 4. I've done that on loads of other videos. I'll use a metronome to help me with that. I'll talk about that in a minute before I get going playing. Secondly, on this video I'm going to use only downstrokes on the strumming, so I'm not going to have to worry about ups and downs and ups and different patterns like that. As I say, really basic to begin with, just downstrokes and just to the count of 4. I'm going to use my thumb to strum these patterns. You can use a plectrum, makes no difference, whatever you're more comfortable with doing. I mentioned I'm going to use a metronome. That's important for a couple of reasons. Firstly, it's going to help me to develop my timing, so that I'm strumming on the beat when I should be, rather than at random times. Secondly, I mentioned that we're going to use the count of 4, which is the most common, by far the most common and popular count that we use in musical timing. There are other ones. We'll have a look at those probably in some other video, but for now, the 1, 2, 3, 4 is going to be nice and simple. With the metronome is actually going to do 2 things for me when I'm practicing this. Obviously, it's going to produce a tick or a click for me to play along to. I'm using a metronome on my phone. It's just a free app that I've downloaded, so I can just put in whatever tempo I want to put in and play along to that. That's important for this. If you're familiar with the old traditional metronomes, it's like an upside down pendulum clock that goes to that effect, which is great, it's fantastic. But the brilliant thing about a digital metronome or a metronome on the phone is they usually will let you accent the first beat, which means it'll give you a different sound for the number 1 count. So when I switch a metronome on, the sound it gives me on number 1 is slightly different from what it gives me on 2, 3 and 4, and that helps me to know where the first beat is, so where my number 1 is, and that'll be important, as you'll see when I play through. So just so you can hear that, I'll just play a quick 4 on the metronome so you can hear the different sounds. 1, 2, 3, 4. So hopefully you can hear that the 1 has got a different sound on the metronome than the other 3, so that when I'm playing away and listening to a metronome, I can always hear which is the 1, because it sounds different from the other 3 notes or other 3 beats that I'm going to play. So for all these exercises, I'll let the metronome play through a count of 4, and then I'll begin playing. In terms of the chords that I'm going to play, doesn't matter at all for this whatsoever. I'm not interested in learning a song or playing chords of a song. What I would suggest perhaps is pick whichever chord you're most comfortable with to begin with. Then you don't have to worry about it. Just pick an A minor or maybe even E minor. That's quite a simple one with two little fingers on there. something that you're happy that you can just leave your hand on, and we're just going to concentrate on what we're going to do with our strumming hand. We're not going to change chords, so we don't have to think about moving our fretting hand around and get confused by that. So we're just going to put the chord on and use the same chord and play through. So the first way that I'm going to play it, the first pattern, is going to be nice and simple. I'm going to play a chord just on my one beat, and then count it to 2, 3, 4, and then just play again on my one beat. So I'm only playing once for every 4 clicks, like this. So I was playing the chord. Stop. I was playing the chord on the one count, on the different sound on the metronome, all the way through. So that's possibly the most basic way that you can start playing your strum. So I just play one strum and count through, and then when we get to 1 again, play the 1 strum again. The next pattern I'll show you is we'll take it up one step further from there. So rather than just playing on the 1, I'm going to play twice as many chords. So I'm going to play on the 1, I'm going to leave the 2, I'm going to play on the 3, and then I'm going to leave the 4. So I'll end up playing twice as many strums as what I was doing in the last pattern. So I'm playing on the 1 and the 3 there. 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3. Again, I've used the same chord. In that case, I've just played an A minor. It just seems to be where my hand sits. But that's we're adding twice as many strums to the same metronome beat as what we're doing in the first example. Just a quick word, if that feels a bit fast for you once we get going, I've got the metronome at 80 BPM there. So if that's too fast for you, obviously just turn the metronome down to whatever speed you're comfortable with. I didn't want to do it too slow because otherwise the video will be 10 hours long, so I wanted to keep it a decent speed so that I can get through the different patterns. Next one up from that, I'm going to double up again. So rather than playing 2 strums across the count of 4, I'm going to strum on every single count. So I'm going to strum on 1, 2, 3 and 4. With that, it's still important to be aware of where the 1 count is. 1, 1, 1. So we've built up there from just playing one strum to 2 strums up to 4 strums. Now to get a little bit more advanced from that, rather than just doing basically doubling up each time, we can start thinking about strumming on certain numbers and not on the other numbers. So the next pattern I'm going to play, I'm going to strum on 1, 2 and 3, and I'm not going to strum on 4, and then I'm going to go back to 1, 2, 3, and not on 4. So again, just adding a little bit more variety to the strumming. It's all, as I said before, it's all going to be downstrokes, downstrums, so we don't have to worry about whether we're playing up and down. I've kept the same chord, my A minor, so we can just concentrate on what we're doing with our strumming hand. The next one, I'll play, and I've just made these patterns up by the way by strumming on certain numbers and not on others. The next one I'm going to play on, I'll strum 1, I'll leave 2, and then strum on 3 and 4. carrying on. I'll leave it running. For the next one, I'm going to strum on 1 and 2, I'll leave 3, and then play on 4. And finally, you could probably do loads and loads of these if you can be bothered working out which ones to play and which ones to leave. Finally, I'll play on 1, I'll leave 2 and 3, and then I'll play on 4. And then I'll carry on, play on 1, leave 2 and 3, play on 4. So there's a few patterns there. Hopefully you might be able to use just to get your strumming on time and on point, so that you're playing in time and you get that accuracy into your strumming hand. Like I said, it doesn't matter what you're doing with your fretting hand. Just stay on the same chord. If you want to, if you're confident and comfortable, you can change the chords and practice them with different chords. It's all good practice. But don't worry too much about the chords that you're making. For the purpose of this exercise, we're looking on your strumming hand and what that's doing in time with your metronome, rather than trying to learn a song or trying to put a series of chords together. So that we only have to concentrate on one thing at once. So that's the most basic, or some of the most basic strumming patterns that I was able to think of. As I say, you can practice it playing whichever of the 1, 2, 3, 4, or leaving whichever ones that you want to do for now. I'll do some more videos on making it a bit more complicated, perhaps with some upstrokes and some different timing ideas as well. But for now, if you're just starting out, just stick with those and just get that timing in.